just exactly what is the package going to include, and how penal are they?
Well, Manos, look, we talked about this being a full package. The European Union wanted to go beyond individuals, and that's what they've agreed. When you look at the measures taken, they now target financial sectors. They target some of the state-owned companies. That's where a lot of the money would be in Belarus. They also deny access to Belarusian planes, and they would essentially block the airspace going in and out of the country. So overall, given the measures that they could have taken, you could argue that this is on the top end in terms of the severity of the measures announced. Now, some of the detail is still pending, but the direction does seem to want to really punish the Belarusian government. The other thing that I would say, Manos, which again, it's also very relevant, is the fact that the measures were taken very quickly. You know, some of the officials yesterday were telling us that there was full agreement, that the measures were agreed in a very short amount of time, and that Europe wanted, with that decision, to send a clear signal that when it comes to an external threat, they're united. There's no bickering between the EU 27. So it's a lot of it was optics, but on the detail too, it does seem that they wanted to send a message going after the money and shutting down the airspace.
Well, the European leaders also discussed Russia and how are diplomatic relations there?
Well, Manos, look, that was interesting because, of course, the thinking here is that Belarus wouldn't commit such an attack on the European airspace if they weren't sure to some extent that Russia would back Lukashenko of the aftermath, which is essentially what we're seeing, where the Russians are saying this is an exaggerated reaction and that they believe the explanation put forward by the Belarusian government. Now, the language coming out of the head of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, yesterday was very tough, in which she said this is a pattern of behavior from Russia now for years, in which they try to destabilize Eastern European countries, in which we've seen election meddling, cyber hacking. In some cases, she also mentioned assassinations carried out. So clearly the language does signal that normal relationships are not going to be back anytime soon, that diplomatically Russia has become a country that's very difficult to deal with. But she also acknowledged there's a geographical reality. This is the biggest neighbor to the European Union, and you simply can't ignore Russia.